Alright, so we're going to get started right away. Welcome to the Zohar Introduction Aleph. I'm very excited to be here with everybody. My goal for today, with the help of Hashem, is to begin Eretz Hashem, our series on Zohar, which I'm going to be streaming live so everybody could watch it and watch along and ask comments. So we're going to start right away with the 13th petaled rose, and we're going to ask a question which is something that's very bothers Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is as a lily amongst thorns. So the Zohar introduction 1. So let's start right away. Rechizkiya Psach Ksiv. So Shira Shira Beis Beis Pinchas Reish Lamed Gimel. Upi Teisha Kuf Peites Keshashana Bein HaChachamim Man Shashana. So Rechizkiya opens his discourse with a text as the lily amongst thorns, etc. Shira Shira and Beis Beis. What he says does the lily symbolize? It symbolizes the community of Israel. As the lily amongst thorns is tinged with red and white, so the community of Israel is visited now with justice and now with mercy. As the lily possesses 13 leaves, so the community of Israel is vouchsafed 13 categories of mercy, which surround it on every side. For this reason, the term Elohim, God, mentioned here in the first verse of Bereshis, is separated by 13 words from the next mention of Elohim, symbolizing the 13 categories of mercy which surround the community of Israel to protect it. Ulebeitar. So we continue. The second mention of Elohim is separated from the third by 5 words, representing the 5 strong leaves that surround the lily, symbolic of the 5 ways of salvation, which are the 5 gates. This alludes to in the verse, I will lift up the cup of salvation, Psalms 116:13. This is the cup of benediction which has to be raised by 5 fingers and no more. For after the model of the lily, which rests on 5 strong leaves in the shape of 5 fingers, thus the lily is a symbol of the cup of benediction. Immediately after the third mention of Elohim appears the light, which so soon as created was treasured up and enclosed in that Brit covenant. So we'll see how important the covenant is to the Zohar, like water to a fish, which entered the lily and fructified it. Excuse me, let's say that again. So the cup of salvation in Psalms 116:13, this is the cup of benediction which has to be raised by 5 fingers and no more, after the model of the lily which rests upon the 5 strong leaves in the shape of the 5 fingers. Thus the lily is a symbol of the cup of benediction. Immediately after the third mention of Elohim appears the light, which so soon as created was treasured up and enclosed in that Brit covenant, which entered the lily and fructified it. And this is what is called tree bearing fruit, wherein is the seed thereof, and this seed is preserved in the very sign of the covenant. All right. Very good. Welcome to those who are just joining. I see a bunch of people are entering. Welcome. So let's discuss the Zohar, the introduction of the Zohar, and what the Zohar says on Introduction Aleph. Okay, so welcome in.
There's a brilliant way to deal with the kids who think for themselves, labeled
1 second. Okay, so this is the link that we're dealing with. So we're going to be doing the Zohar. So you guys can go to Sefaria and we'll be dealing with the Zohar introduction Aleph. So immediately after the third mention of Elikim appears the light which so soon as created was treasured up and enclosed in that Brit covenant which entered the lily and fructified it, and this is what is called tree-bearing fruit, wherein is the seed thereof, and this seed is preserved to the very sign of the covenant. So that's pretty important, obviously, very good. And we'll see just how deep this runs. So Ukema diakuna divrit. So and the Zohar continues, and as the ideal covenant was formed through 42 copulations, so the engraven ineffable name is formed of the 42 letters of the work of creation. So welcome Mordechai. Welcome. We're doing the Zohar introduction Aleph. So we just said how Klal Yisrael is a 13-petaled rose, and that the covenant is super important. The Brit Kodesh is super important to Zohar Parak Aleph. So welcome. So let's go to Hakdama Beis in the Zohar. Bereshis Rabbi Shimon Psach, Shir Hashirim Beis Yud Beis. Tzadik Zayin. So we bring a pasuk from Vayikra in the 4th parak in the 2nd chapter. Hanitzaitzim Nevrayu Ba'aretz. So in the beginning, Rabbi Shimon opens his discourse with the text that the blossoms appeared on the earth. Shir Hashirim in the 2nd parak in pasuk Yud Beis. The blossoms, he said, refer to the work of creation. Appeared on the earth. When? On the 3rd day, as it is written, and the earth brought forth. They thus then appeared on the earth. The time of pruning is come, alludes to the 4th day in which the pruning of the overbearing, Isaiah 25:5, took place. And the voice of the turtle alludes to the 5th day, as it is written, let the water swarm to produce living creatures. It's heard. So let the water swarm to produce living creatures. Is heard points to the 6th day, as it is written, let us make man. Namely, this was who was destined to say, first we will do, and then we will hear. For the expression in our text, Na'aseh, let us make man, finds its echo in the expression, Na'aseh, we will do, and hear. Exodus 24:7, in our land implies the day of the Shabbos, which is a copy of the land of the living. Welcome to the introduction to the Zohar, chapter 2. The world to come, the world of souls, the world of constellations. Shahu Eilam Haba, Eilam Hanashamas, Eilam Hanachamais, Nun Aleph, Davar Acher, Neitzaitzim, Eilev, Einev, Evin, De'elim, and Machshava. The following is an alternative exposition. The blossoms are the patriarchs who pre-existed in the thought of the Almighty and later entered the world to come, whereas they were carefully preserved. From thence they issued secretly to become incarnate in the true prophets. Thus, when Yosef entered the Holy Land, he planted them there, and thus they appeared on the earth and revealed themselves there. When do they become visible? When the rainbow betokens that the time of pruning is come. To wit, the time when the sinners are due to be cut off from the world, and they only escape because the blossoms appear on earth. If not for their appearance, the sinners would be left in the world, and the world itself would not exist. Brachata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shakol niyeh bidvarai. Okay. So far, so good. How's everybody in the chat over here? Let me switch to moderator hat for a second. Okay, so far so good. Hello, hi Rabbi. Welcome. Let me just mute some of these comments. Okay. We'll take some questions at the end. Okay. Let's continue. And who is it that upholds the world and causes the patriarchs to appear? It's the voice of the tender children studying the Torah. And for their sakes, the world is saved. Introduction, chapter 3. So, Bereshis Rabbi Eliezer Psach. Yeshayahu Mem Chavav She'ehu Daf Lamed Aleph. Mara Menechem Yeru Mi Bara Eila. In the beginning, Rabbi Eliezer opened his discourse with the text, "Lift up your eyes on high and see who has created these." Isaiah 40:26. Lift up your eyes on high. To which place? To the place to which all the eyes are turned, to wit, Petach Einayim, eye opener. By doing so, you will know that it is the mysterious ancient one whose essence can be sought but not found that created these, to wit, me, who, the same who was called from me the extremity of heaven on high. Because everything is in his power, and because he is ever to be sought through, though mysterious and unrevealable, since further we cannot inquire. V'yes acher l'teita v'yikrema ma behai la'ai ela k'deima sasema. The extremity of heaven is called me, but there is another lower extremity which is called ma. The difference between the two is this. The first is the real subject of inquiry, but after a man, by means of inquiry and reflection, has reached the utmost limit of knowledge, he stops at ma. What? As if to say, what knowest you? What have your searchings achieved? Everything is as baffling to you as it was in the beginning. Ve'al raza danak siv ich rabez ma'idecha lacha. In allusion to this is written, I ma, testify against you. Lamentations 2:13. When the temple was destroyed, a voice went forth and said, I ma, I have testified against you by day from the days of all it is written. I called heaven and earth to witness against you. Devarim 30:19. Furthermore, I ma likened myself to thee. I crowned thee with the holy crowns and made thee ruler of the earth, as it was written. And this is the city that the men call the perfection of beauty? Mishlei Perek Beis Tezvav. And again, I called you Jerusalem, that is, build it as a city compact together. Further, I ma am equal to thee. In the same plight in which you, Jerusalem, are here, so I am, as it were, above. Just as the holy people does not go up to thee any more in sacred array, so I swear to thee, I will not ascend on high until the day when your throngs will again stream to thee here below. And this may be thy consolation, inasmuch as to this extent I am your equal in all things, but now that you are in thy present state, the breach is great like the sea. And you, unless you say that there is for thee no abiding and no healing, but me will heal you. Of surety, the veiled one, the Most High, the Son of all existence, will heal you and uphold you. So mi kiseh shemayim le'ela ma, v'yad ketzah shemayim l'tata, kuf tzadikei shemayim l'tata, v'da yiras Yaakov de'u b'verich. So me, the extremity of the heaven above, ma is from the extremity of the heaven below, and this is from the inheritance of Yaakov, he being the ball that passes from extremity to extremity. Exodus 26:28. That is from the higher, identical with me, to the lower, identical with ma, as he occupies a position in the middle, hence me who created these. So the question is, who created these? That's the big chapter of Zohar Introduction, chapter 3. Zohar Introduction, chapter 4, starts off as follows. Amar Rabbi Shimon Elazar. We're going to see a very interesting story from Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon. I'm Rabbi Shimon Elazar b'nei Pasuk. B'nei Pasuk milach l'taigi. Sasima deraza al yadivnei alma la yiden surah. Says Rabbi Shimon, Elazar, son of mine, cease your discourse that there may be revealed the higher mysteries which remain sealed for the people of this world. Rabbi Eliezer then fell into silence. Rabbi Shimon wept a while and then said, Elazar, what is meant by the term these? Surely not the stars and the other heavenly bodies, since they are always visible and were created through Ma, as we read, by the word of the Lord were the heavens made. Psalm 33:6. Nor can they imply the things that we can't see, since the vocable these obviously points to things that are revealed. So this mystery remains sealed until one day, while I was on the seashore, Elijah came up to me and said to me, Master, what means me who created these? I said to him, that refers to the heavens and their hosts, the works of the Holy One, blessed be He, works through contemplation, of which man comes to bless Him, as it is written, and when I behold the heavens, the work of your fingers, etc. O Lord our God, how glorious is your name in all of the earth. Amar Rabbi Mila. Sasei mahava kimei kedusha brichu. Then he said to me, Master, the Holy One, blessed be He, has a deep secret, which He at length revealed at the Celestial Academy. It is this: when the most mysterious wished to reveal Himself, He first produced a single point which was transmuted into a thought. And in this He executed innumerable designs and engraved innumerable engravings. V'ask livgai beitzena kedusha sesema galifa dechad seira sesema kaidesh kadishin ve'ena namika denafik mai migu. So he further graved within the sacred and mystic, he further engraved l'chaim. So, where were we? He further graved within the sacred a mystic lamp, and most holy. So he further graved within the sacred and mystic lamp a mystic and most holy design, which was the wondrous edifice issuing from the midst of thought. This was called me, and was the beginning of the edifice, existent and non-existent, deep buried, unknowable. Welcome to those who are just joining. By name, the Zohar in Introduction 4. Hakdama Daled. Deep buried, unknowable by name. It was only called me who it desired to become manifest and to be called by name. It's therefore clothed itself in a refulgent and precious garment and created Elah these, and Elah acquired a name. The letters of the two words intermingled, forming the complete name Elohim, God. So when the Israelites sinned in making the golden calf, they alluded to this mystery in saying, Elah, these are thy gods, O Israel. So that's idol worship, so that's no good. We just heard about that also in the other week's Parsha. And once me became combined with Elah, the name remained for all time. And it is upon this secret, so Ukaima di Shtaitif mi be'Elah, once me became combined with Elah, so Elohim, the name remained for all time. And upon this secret the world is built. Elijah then flew away and vanished out of my sight. And it's from this that he became possessed of this profound mystery, says Rabbi Elazar and all the companions that came to him and prostrated themselves before him, because they were so weeping for joy and saying that if we had come into the world only but to hear this secret, we would have been content. And then with that, that's a beautiful transition, introduction of Zohar Hakdama 5, right? Chapter 5. Let's see how we're doing in the comments. Questions, concerns? Comments, questions, concerns. So I see a question, why do y'all deny Christ? So I don't personally, so Jesus was Jewish, even though I don't really discuss this because it's not really directly to do with the Zohar, but I'll just quickly point out that Jesus was Jewish, and that Christianity comes from Judaism. So you could think of Judaism basically like the father of Christianity. We love Christians and Muslims. So Jesus himself, and I know there's a legend in the Talmud, some people say that Jesus is burning in his own, I heard two opinions. One opinion says that Jesus is burning in his own feces, and another says that he's burning in his own urine. But both of these are very fringe opinions. Mainstream Judaism does not accept these opinions. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but most Jews don't believe that Jesus is burning in urine. That's just a very fringe opinion. What else? I worship Saturn. No, I don't worship Saturn. That's a myth that comes from astrology also. An interesting myth that is mostly internet hype. Basically, it's an internet hype that has to do with the fact that Saturn is the seventh planet, in astrology. And since the Jews' Sabbath is famously on the seventh day, these so-called astrologers, brilliant astrologers, quote unquote, said, oh, Jews worship Saturn. Okay, so it's a very hyped up nonsense, basically. Why do you deny Christ? We don't deny Christ. So basically, Jesus was Jewish. Then why do you wear a black cube on your forehead? The black cube that we wear on the forehead, which actually I have right here. So let me just show it to you guys. So this is called tefillin. This right here is the tefillin shel yad, which is the tefillin that we put on the hand. Okay, I already put it on this morning, so I'm not going to put it on now. But this is the one that we put on the hand. So when we make a bracha on the hand tefillin. And we also have the second piece that goes on top of the head. Nothing to do with Saturn. In fact, on the seventh day, is the only day we don't wear the tefillin. We wear it 6 days a week. It's actually muktzah. So on Shabbos, you're not allowed to perform work, right? Everybody knows Jews cannot drive their car or use their... Orthodox Jews, we don't drive the phone or use the car on Shabbos. Also, we don't wear tefillin, the cube, on Shabbos. Shabbos is connected to the day of Saturn. So remember that that's where that loose connection comes in, and it's very much internet hype, unfortunately. So, thank you for your questions. So let's continue on in the Zohar. And then we'll take more questions soon at the end. So we discussed a few controversial topics, a few non-controversial topics. We did the first 4 chapters of the introduction of Zohar, discussing that Israel is a 13-petaled rose, which discusses the Zohar as a metaphysical framework, and that the bit Jews get a balanced force between, and the non-Jews, we get a balanced universal forces between Chesed and Gvura. Now we're going to continue, and we discussed Jesus a little bit, the fact that he was Jewish once, a long time ago. And now we're going to continue with introduction, chapter 5. So, Amar Rabbi Shimon, Ada Shemei V'chelin B'meh Isberehu D'chsiv Tehillim Shem Ki'irya. So Rabbi Shimon continues, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the main rabbi of the Zohar. The heavens and their host, we're going to learn a deep secret of creation, that the heavens and their host were created through the medium of Ma. What? As it is written, when I behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, O Lord our God, Ma, glorious is your name in all of the earth, whose majesty is rehearsed above the heavens. Psalm 8:4-2. God is above the heavens in respect of his name, for he created a light for his light, and one for an investment to the other. And so he ascended into the higher name. Hence, in the beginning, Elohim, God created, that is, the supernal Elohim, whereas Ma was not so, nor was it built up. Next up, we're going to learn another deep secret. So, Ella B'Shaita, until these letters, Ela, from the name Elohim, which means God, so until these letters, Ela, were drawn from above, below, And the mother lent the daughter her garments, and we'll see the Arizal in the apples of the orchard later on in Lakutei Torah, in Bereshis, by the story of Rachel and the well, is going to point out something very interesting about this. Why did she so adorn her? Because when all the males of Israel appeared before her in accordance with the command that all thy males shall appear before the Lord Adonai your God, in Shemais Lamed Daled Chaf Gimel. This term, Lord Adon, is similarly used in the pasuk. Behold, the Mishkan of the covenant of Hashem Adonai of all of the earth in Hosea, okay, in the 3rd chapter of Hosea. Then the letter Hey of Ma departed, and her place was taken by Yud. Okay, so you see a lot of letters that fly around and take each other's places. The letter Hey of Ma departed, and her place was taken by Yud, making me. So Ma became me. So what became who? And then she decked herself in male clothing, harmonizing with every male in Israel. Okay, so let's see what this means. It's a deep mystical idea.
Probably a small person. You want to know the size of a man? Check the size of his battles. Because how many people crumble from a late email, a rude comment, or a traffic jam, and they wonder why their life isn't growing. Here's the secret. The
This
only
is
man with greatness
Rabbi
is
Landau.
the greater problem.
Very nice, very good video. Yeah, so what were we saying? Yeah, so welcome to those who are just joining. So we'll continue on in the Zohar. So other letters too, Israel drew from on high to that place. So thus it says that these Eli I remember in Tehillim 42:5. So I make mention with my mouth, and I pour out my tears, and thus I make them, the letters, flit from on high onto the house of Elohim. So to be Elohim after his form, and with what? With the voice of song and praise and amidst a festive throng. So it says, Rabbi Eliezer, my keeping silence was the means of building the sanctuary above and the sanctuary below. Verily, speech is worth a selah. Silence is worth 2. So if a wise statement is worth 1 gold coin, silence is worth 2. Speech is worth a selah, namely my exposition and remarks on the subject. But silence is worth 2, namely my silence on this matter. 2 words were built together through silence. Amar Rabbi Shimon Mikaya Eila. Rabbi Shimon says, we will go on to expound the conclusion of the verse, that he who brings forward by the number their host. There are 2 grades which have to be distinguished, one of Ma and one of me. One of the higher and one of the lower sphere. The higher is singled out here in the words, he who bringeth forth by number their host. He who expresses something definite and absolute, a being universally recognized and without equal. Corresponding to this is the expression, he who bringeth forth bread from the earth. Here also, he who implies the universally acknowledged one. Though here visualized as the lower grade, the 2, however, are one. By number, 600,000 are they, and they have in turn produced according to their kinds beyond all number. Okay? So that's good. So I'll show everybody the source for what we're discussing here. So this is the introduction to the Zohar in the beginning. Nun Aleph Kegevna Dalet Aleph Lekulam Bain Inyan Shaitan Bain Kol Chelin De'elin B'Shem Yikra Mar B'Shem Yikra. All of them. Whether the 600,000 or the rest of the hosts, he calls by name. This cannot mean by their names, for if it were so, it should have been written by names. What it means is that as long as this grade did not assume a name and was still called me, it was unproductive and did not bring into actuality the latent forces within it, each according to its kind. But as soon as it created Eladis and assumed its rightful name, and was called Elohim God, then by force of that name it produced them in their complete form. This is the meaning of calls by name. To wit, he proclaimed his own name so as to bring about the emergence of each sort of being in its full form. Analogous to this we read, "See, I have called by name," Exodus 31:2. To wit, I have bestowed my name on Bezalel in the shadow of God, so that his work should emerge in perfection. Further, the words "by the abundance of powers" refer to the supreme grade whereto all the volitions ascend by a mysterious path, and the mighty of strength. The word strength symbolizes the supernal world, which assumed the name Elohim God. As already said, no one is missing of the 600,000 which emerged by the name of the power of the name. And because nobody is missing, therefore, whenever Israelites died on account of a national sin, the people were afterwards numbered, and it was found that the number of 600,000 had not been diminished even by one, so that the likeness to the supernal prototype was still complete, just as no one was missing above, so no one was missing here below. And just with like that, we finished chapter 6 in the introduction to Zohar. We finished in chapter 5. And very soon we will be continuing into chapter 6. Okay, so we'll continue. So the Zohar in chapter 6, introduction, chap 6, says, Bereshis Rav Hamanuna Sava Amar. In the beginning, Rav Hamanuna the Venerable said. We find here a reversal of the order of the letters of the alphabet. The first two words, Bereshis Bara, in the beginning he created, commencing with Bet, whereas the two words following, Elohim et God, the, commence with Aleph. The reason is as follows. When the Holy One, blessed be He, was about to make the world, all the letters of the Aleph Bet were still embryonic, and for 2,000 years the Holy One, blessed be He, had contemplated them and toyed with them. Kad be'il mimvrei alma asu mekad, reish daled e v'geish reish hey, beis kol asev and kema. When he came to create the world, all the letters presented themselves before him in reversed order. The letter Taf advanced in front and pleaded, May it please thee, O Lord of the world, to place me first in the creation of the world, seeing that I am concluding, and I am the last letter of the word Emet, truth, which is engraved upon your holy seal, and seeing that you are called by the very name of Emet, it is most appropriate for the king to begin the Torah with the final letter of Emet, and to create with me the world. The Holy Blessed One said to her, you are worthy and deserving, but not to be the one that I use as the first letter of the Torah. Because since you are destined to serve as a mark on the foreheads of the faithful ones, in Yecheskel 9:4, who have kept the law from Aleph to Taf, and through the absence of this mark, the rest will be killed. And further, you forms the conclusion of Mavet, death. And since the Torah is life, its very opposite, I cannot make you the first letter of the holy Torah. Hence, you are not to meet the initiation, the creation of the world. So then, Taf leaves the presence of the Holy One. Then, the letter Shin walks in, the one that comes after Taf. Numerical value of 300. And Shin says to God and pleads, Amra Kimeya, Rabbeinu Lamim, Master of the universe, may it please thee to begin the world with me, seeing that I am the initial letter of your name, Shakai, Almighty One. And it is most fitting to create the world through the holy name, said he in reply. Shin, Shin, you are worthy, you are good, you are true. But I may not begin you, the creation of the world, and I cannot use you as the first letter of the Torah, since you perform the word sheker, falsehood, which is not able to exist unless kuf and reish draw you to their company. Mikan main debei lemeimar shikra v'yakel reish tazvav beis. Hence, I told that lie to obtain credence must always commence with something true. So if you ever want to tell a lie, it's basically saying to attach a base of truth. Attach it to a base of truth. If somebody asks, why didn't you do your homework? And you say, I was at the grocery store. If it's true, you were at the grocery store, but the reason you did your homework was for a different reason. And they ask you, why didn't you do your homework? And you say, I didn't do it because I was at the grocery store. Right? Why didn't you do your KU cohort homework? And you say, I was at the grocery store, which is a base of truth, because you were at the grocery store. But you still had time to do your homework. So you're using a base of truth. So that's why we learned that if you want to say a base of truth, if you want to say a lie, attach a base of truth to it. Having heard this, the Shin departed. Eilis es, so the Shin leaves from the presence of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Eilis es tzaddik, to make room for the tzaddik to come in. Amr Kameya Rabbeinu Lamed, Master of the universe, may it please you to create with me the world, to start the world off with me, because I am the sign of tzaddik, righteousness, and people who are holy are called by me. It's for the right. Lord is righteous. He loves righteousness. Right? The Lord is righteous. He loves righteousness. So let's take a look at some of these comments. See if we have any questions. Rabbi, why is not allowed to have a relationship when going to conversion? It's interesting because when somebody converts, they have to leave their family. Because let's say two people are married. If one of them converts, then the other spouse is not considered Jewish, so the marriage is considered annulled. Thank you for your question. Let's see if there's another one. So that's the reason. It's interesting, right? I hear a lot of times people convert and they have to leave their family. It's very painful, but I know somebody who had to leave their entire family because they converted to Judaism, but the rest of the family did not convert. So oftentimes you'll hear people who converted who have to leave their entire family. Thank you to those who sent a heart puff. So I saw somebody mention remote viewing and astral projection. All I need is a picture of a face. So this is interesting because this is something that is... some people believe, some people don't. So I usually tend not to focus on these areas because they're impossible to prove. And it's not necessarily relevant to the main system of Kabbalah, but there are some people who are interested in astral projection, and the Zohar does mention a form of astral travel and a kind of meditative state of consciousness travel. But then the problem is that then you quickly slide into stuff we don't want to slide into, like tarot cards and everything. Not because it's bad, but because it would be too much of a distraction right now. So yeah, the Zohar says if you want to attach a base of, if you want, somebody wants to lie, they attach a base of truth. That's why sheker cannot be used as the first letter. That's why shin cannot be used as the first letter, even though he begged HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be used in the beginning of the Torah. Bereshis bara Elokim, right? So we know ultimately that the Torah, the first letter is Beis. So let's see. But the Zohar tells you a story. So the letters come in reverse order, starting with Taf, going all the way down to Shin. And every one of them is able to present their elevator pitch for why they should be the one that should be able to start the Torah off. Enters the tzaddik and says, O Lord of the world, may it please you to create with me the world. Let me be the first letter, because I am the first letter of the word tzaddik, righteous. And we all know how important that word is to you, for the Lord is righteous. He loves righteousness. Okay, and just with that, it's 11 a.m., so I wish everybody a wonderful day. Class tonight will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for everybody who wants to study deeper, we have our cohort, our leadership architecture cohort is officially launched. So go to my bio, send us a message, and check that out. Spots are limited. All right, I'll see everybody at 8.